This will be a major headline come Wednesday, too. The Deficit Commission now saying it will release its findings, on Wednesday. Now saying some hard decisions are unavoidable if we want to mop up the red ink in Washington. That may put the health care insurance you get from your employer on the chopping block. What about all that idea? Republican Senator John Barrasso out of Wyoming, orthopedic surgeon. Senator, good morning to you. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving with your family, and welcome back to Washington and America's newsroom. What about this idea? Does it seem to make sense that you give in one area and take in another?
You know, our problem is not that is not a revenue problem, it's a spending problem. Washington spends too much. We need to get the spending under control, and that's why the Republicans have basically said, let's eliminate earmarks, let's get back to 2008 spending levels and have a balanced budget amendment to the Constitution. The debt is the threat, and it's the cancer eating us from inside.
So this health insurance idea, that's a non-starter from you, I hear. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I think that our problem, we need to look at spending rather than ways to increase taxes. The American people know that they don't trust Washington with their money. Washington will just spend it. There's no guarantee they'll use it to pay down the debt, and that's the threat to our country. So, you know, the real people that are going to come against this are the unions. This was supposed to be in the health care law the last time, and the unions went to the White House, and they said to the president, no, do not put this in. And you know, even though the unions say they went out and lobbied for this health care law, 18 of them now have gotten waivers so that it doesn't apply to them, and that's what we're dealing with now, Bill.
Yeah, there's a story that crossed us yesterday here in the state of New York, the SEIU. It says it's now threatened with dropping all children from its coverage. Now, where does that come from?
Well, that's a union that lobbied for the health care law, now saying we don't want it to apply to us. The president over the weekend told Barbara Walters that he was extraordinarily, exceptionally proud of this health care law. I think he should be embarrassed by this law that got crammed down the throats of the American people. You know, he promised people they could keep the care what they have if they like it. Well, with this whole issue of the tax deductibility of the insurance premiums, you know, what you tax, you get less of. So if they're going to start taxing that, fewer employers will offer their employees insurance.
But people had to see this coming, right? I mean, is this a result of an intended consequence by the law or an unintended consequence? Is it A or B?
There were a lot of both in this health care law, and I thought they were both in a bad direction. I think this is a law that is bad for patients, it's bad for providers, the nurses and doctors taking care of those patients, and it's going to be terrible for taxpayers. The Debt Commission ought to look at ways to actually repeal and replace this entire health care law.
Let me get to that in a moment, because I want to get your ideas. I know you wrote an op-ed page, and I want to give you one moment to do that. But what the Debt Commission, I believe, is prepared to suggest is that if you take away the health care insurance from the employer, you would get that money back through tax breaks in other areas. That's the whole idea, where you take from one area and you give another, ultimately coming out to an even playing field. You buy it?
Well, I think what they're going to do is if they take that tax away from the employers, what they're going to do is people will then not get the insurance coverage through work. They will get a salary increase, and then that'll be more income taxes for the government. So I really don't like the idea of looking at raising taxes. I like the idea of cutting spending. That's what we ought to be doing in this country. We spend too much money.
What can Republicans do on health care to make it either a better law or to get rid of it entirely and start over?
Well, we need to repeal it and replace it with something that would work. And at this point, I want to defund this. I don't want them to have the 15,000 extra IRS agents to look into your background to see if you have mandatory health insurance. I support what's happening with the suits that are going forward to say it's unconstitutional to make Americans buy a product, any product. We need to continue to go at this piece by piece and take it apart.
We will watch to see whether those defunding efforts can be successful. Senator, thank you. John Barrasso is a Republican out of Wyoming. Good to have you on. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Bill.